Check, check, check. Welcome everyone. Welcome. It's been a while. It's been a minute. We've had Christmas, we've had the New Year's, settling back into things, back into work, back into all the routines of life after all that time off. But welcome to the King's Capital. Hope you guys had a great Christmas, great New Year. Hope y'all are setting fresh goals for this year. No resolutions, but aspirations. How about some New Year's aspirations, right? I certainly have mine, obviously, just working on consistency and crushing the charts every single morning. But let's just dive in. We're going to keep this one short. We're going to keep the number of charts we're looking at minimal. I've actually minimized my list. Just kind of looking at, in fact, I guess I'm looking at USD/JPY every once in a while as well. But mostly just going to look at DXY, Euro USD, and SPY. I think those are going to be main things. We could probably look at BTC USD, but I think everybody kind of knows what's going on with that one at the moment. Obviously, a lot of time before that monthly candle closes. Deadly weekly candle. I guess I'm covering this right now, right? So I think the expectation is definitely more downside. We definitely have some fair value gaps and a lot of room to come down. I'm not big on the trend lines, but was just drawing them, just checking it out. Anyways, I think we're just preparing for more downside for BTC USD. Definitely, I would like to see us back down into the 20K range. And I'm still hopeful for lower. I would like to see sub 20K. And if we do, I'll be buying. Cool. Well, let's get back to where we always start. Anyways, back to the beginning. So generally, DXY has been bullish. We did, towards the end of the year, have the expectation of 2024 getting rate decreases, right? Rate cuts by the Fed, which was triggering downside. We kind of had priced in some of the rate increases. And then with the expectation of lowered rates this year, we started selling off, right? DXY started selling off. So now the last Fed meeting, basically, we got, was it the last Fed meeting or was it was inflation? That's what it was. Sorry. With inflation still being kind of hot, which I think, honestly, I think that was the expectation. Everybody was talking about rate decreases, but inflation really had not been under control. So why are we cutting rates? Anyways, that aside, so that's up in the air. Like, I think that's the sentiment right now is like, well, are they going to be that heavy with rate cuts or what's going on? So that's the fundamental thing that's happening. That's pushed DXY this month is the idea that because inflation is high, we're not going to get the rate cuts, or maybe we'll get fewer rate cuts or whatever, right? I think we're still waiting on more information about that, but that's the sentiment. That's what's led to this bullish push. From a technical standpoint, I mean, what I see happening, and I know I had somebody disagreeing with me, and to be fair, I could see their point. Like, I could see us totally just coming down even further, and maybe that's where we ultimately end up. But there's a couple things I'm watching. We're holding this weekly fair value gap, which if you've seen my past videos, it's been on here forever, right? And we're not violating it at all. We haven't violated it. We spiked into it, we've pulled up, we've tapped into it, but we haven't really closed in or through it. And hypothetically, even if we say we closed through it down to the 61.8 and the next candle pushed up and closed above, that's still not technically violating that fair value gap. That's actually getting a spring off of it still. So this is what I'm watching over, I guess this is a monthly chart. So I guess we're just going to kind of see how this monthly chart goes. I would like to see us push into this monthly fair value gap right here, right? We had this previous one we had tapped into. I'll get rid of that. And right now we're looking at this. We're looking at this little zone. And if we go down to the weekly, if y'all are wondering, I did add EMAs to my chart. I used to trade with the 50 EMA all the time, not the 21. So orange is 50, 21 is red. Just kind of brought them back just to see, like, I don't know, see if I'm vibing with them. And I do like them as a bit of a confluence. Again, I don't know. I haven't really made up my mind on that. Still kind of just exploring that option. This definitely, to me, looks like a market maker buy model. This is very, like, maybe there's Wyckoff experts out there, but this looks very Wyckoffian to me, right? Boom, boom, spring back down to this order block. If we start pushing up and violating this weekly bearish order block right here, which, actually, let's go back to that monthly chart. Make sure our visibility is set. So yeah, I don't know why. I don't really need it on the minutes. Just let's set it for weeks and days. Cool. done. In case y'all wondering if you can hear that, you probably can't hear it, but it's raining in California right now. It's beautiful. It's foggy. It's rainy. It's gloomy. Good day for a cup of coffee. All right, back to the charts. So we have kind of pulled up from this high to this low. We're at the 76 fib level into this order block. We have kind of violated this this fair value gap right here. I'll mark it out real quick and then I'll get rid of it. We have violated this. We have closed, but if we just boom, if we smash through it next week, then I'm going to consider this thing being obeyed. I guess you could say is like obeying that fair value gap or whatever. But in order for me to look at this bigger scheme, this bigger model that could potentially be at play here, well, I want to see us start pushing higher. But again, we do have some resistance here. This is an order block. We have fair value gap just below it. So, when it comes to just the confluences, it does seem like, okay, we could see some more downside. And listen, it could be, and I'm just throwing these options out here. I still think we just need clarity on this. I don't think we really quite are 100%. We got some mixed news from the Fed, rate cuts and inflation and all that stuff, or rate cuts. Anyways, so I mean, hypothetically, what we should be watching is are we just going to blast through? Are we going to come down and then spike into this fair value gap here? And what we can do is we can spike through and then get bought up. So as long as we're getting bought up within this fair value gap and closing over it, that's getting obeyed as far as I'm concerned, which would tell me that the draw on liquidity is likely higher. Let's say we push down here, and we obey this and we start pushing up. That tells me that the draw on liquidity is probably this fair value gap at minimum, right? Come sweep this high into this fair value gap, and then we wait and we see what happens. That's my thought on DXY. I'm not 100%. To me, this looks like a buy model right here. This kind of, that looks like a buy model. Anyways, we've obviously been bullish. We may not get the rate cuts that we were looking at. Inflation is still kind of high. If you live in America, you definitely are feeling that in your wallet. If you live in California, you are absolutely feeling inflation. Literally everywhere you go, everything is getting more expensive. Groceries are getting more expensive. So, inflation is definitely a very real thing. So we'll see what happens here. So all that to say, I know it's a bit of a mixed bag. That's all I'm saying. Is I don't think we're 100% certain on this. I definitely think this reaction out of this order block and the larger fair value gap makes me think that we could probably push higher on the dollar, but I want to see us push past this order block and push past these EMAs and definitely strongly disobey this fair value gap right here. That said, let's move on to another pair. Honestly, I guess that said, I haven't really established the bias, right? We did external liquidity, right? Came down. I guess I'm not done with this. Just kind of analyzing. It's been a minute since I've really broken this one down like this, so you're getting it live. Pushed up, came down. We had these equal lows, swept that liquidity, so external liquidity pulled up into the internal liquidity, which was I deleted it earlier, but there's a larger or a higher time frame fair value gap, which would have been that internal liquidity, back down. So right now we're looking at just this, we got this internal liquidity. We're just kind of in here. So we just need to see what happens, guys. I'm not 100% on DXY. The fundamentals kind of pointing to higher highs on DXY, but we'll see. Internal to external range liquidity. Cool. Here's Euro USD. Let's get rid of some stuff here. All right, close below the previous week low, tapping on that 21 EMA when it comes to the weekly. What does the monthly look like? I mean, this is just a big range to me, honestly. This is just a big range. We have a very large fair value gap right here on the monthly, although it's really just this one. This is the inverse fair value gap, right? So we have this liquidity price pushed up, pulled into this inverse fair value gap. We still have this monthly one down here that we could come tap into. Like I said, we did from a larger time frame perspective. Like if we were to draw this fib, let's get rid of this 50. Cool. tapped into, look at, this is a decent order block, honestly. Here was an up candle, and this pretty much engulfed it. Not perfectly, but basically engulfed this green candle. To me, that makes a pretty good order block, which lined up with this 618. So rejected, created that lower low. We swept this liquidity here, right here, but then we pushed back up. So we're just kind of in a range. This is a little mixed. I think there's a meme out there about Euro USD traders just being stuck in a range basically for a while. But this is the inverse, guys. Look at, this is the inverse of our DXY chart, right? If we were looking at DXY, this literally looks exactly like DXY, but this is Euro USD. I just inverted it, okay? So let's go back. So what does that tell me? Well, if we're gonna maintain some bullishness maybe on DXY this year, if we're not gonna get those rate cuts, if inflation is still high, again, that's bullish for the dollar. Doesn't feel great as a consumer, but that is a possibility. So regardless, though, we are still kind of in this sweat this liquidity. We are pushing up. We did kind of reject this bearish fair value gap. I don't know. It's hard to say. I really want to see us break over this. If we break over this, then I'm good. If we come down to this monthly fair value gap and we start disobeying this pretty hard, I would expect more downside. But we'll also know because DXY is going to show us a similar thing, right? Cool. We're getting a decent reaction off this daily bullish fair value gap. We really didn't hit this extension. That's okay. I'm going to get rid of that. Wow, I'm really into these buy models, aren't I? Buy and sell models. Let me get rid of all these. Cool. Again, trend lines, whatever. Not big on those, but it's there. We did kind of break it. And this did have some violence to it, right? That's a pretty strong close. But again, look at our fair value gap. We're kind of obeying it right now. So here is our latest fair value gap. And here's what I want to see. I want to see us, this is a daily chart, so this could take some time. Maybe a week, 2 weeks, I don't know. Maybe a week probably to figure out what's going to happen from here. So with this fair value gap, obviously we're obeying this one. What I want to see is us push and close strongly above this. We obviously have this order block as well, but in order for us to maintain a bullish bias on Euro USD, I'm going to need to see us violate this and then continue higher, right? And kind of create some kind of buy model here that just kind of feels, like it's rounding out. Like, all right, we're slowing down. We're starting to get maybe some divergence on the RSI. I've noticed that quite a bit with the market maker buy models is that they coincide with RSI divergence. So really the RSI divergence is really a secondary or tertiary confluence. Like it's just kind of one of those last minute things. Really what I want to look at is price action. Are we obeying or disobeying fair value gaps? And before I get further, am I recording? I am recording. Cool. Sick. You would hate to get through this video and realize you were never recording. It happens. So anyways, again, we obeyed this fair value gap, right? This is bearish price action right now. Dollar's been pushing. This is bearish. I mean, a trend line trader would probably be putting a trend line there, looking for something there. This is an order block right here. So, I mean, displacement, fair value gap. I want to see us kind of push up and then wick down. That is what I want to see in order to maintain bullishness on DXY. Let me get rid of this guy real quick. And yeah, see, that was my draw on liquidity right there, but we didn't quite tap it. Let me clean some of this up for y'all. It's getting real messy. We don't need this. Not in the hours. Cool. Obviously, this was obeying that fair value gap. This is the larger fair value gap up here that we were at with the daily chart. Obviously, plenty of voids right here. We got a fair value gap, kind of pushing up into this zone. So if we can push up and reject, and we start changing the trend here and create like a lower time frame market maker sell model. All right, let's look for some sells on DXY. Right now, we're trying to create this buy model just to push up. But again, I think we need a little clarity. I think we need time. I think Euro USD honestly has been very tough lately. I had a pretty good trade on it 2 weeks ago. This week, took 1 L on it. Just haven't been trading it as much. I don't know. It's just not there for me right now. And I'm not really interested in looking at too many other charts. I'm already looking at SPY quite a bit and trying to trade that more. As y'all know, if you paid attention to me last year, was really getting into SPY and options and stuff like that, and then trading Euro USD. So, you know, I could totally see a trend line trader just putting like a, you know, trend line up here, something coming up, tapping it where it crosses and going down. But let's see what happens with this on Euro USD. Like I said, I think we're at a little bit of a crossroads with the larger time frames. I don't think we're 100% aligned on sells and buys yet. Let me take a look at one other thing. 1 second, y'all. Yeah, I think it's mixed. I think if you're obviously on these shorter time frames or these smaller time frames, you're probably looking for a buy, but the larger time frame is kind of, to me, this is sells. Like we've kind of changed direction. Yeah, we're obeying this fair value gap, and yeah, price does break down in order to continue bullishly. But again, we're just gonna have to see. My inclination is to sell, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm going to be very cautious with this one. I ain't going to just set an order. You know, sometimes it's good to set and forget. You find that level, you find that order block, good risk to reward, you go for it. You know, you set that order and you go. But I don't think I'm going to do that this time. So levels to watch, I think, are probably, yeah, within this order block, probably. But yeah, be cautious with this one, guys. I'm not, like I said, I'm not 100% on it. I'm not 100% on it. That's all I got to say. Look at, yeah, tapped into, this is that fair value gap. Tapped in, creating a bit of a model right here, potentially. I want to see us reject somewhere. I don't think we already kind of filled this one, so I think if we're going to reject, it's probably going to be towards the top part of the zone. Yeah, maybe there's like a fib or something for us there. I don't know. Let me look. Yeah, I mean, check out the 618, right? It's kind of just falling in line for us right there. I do love it when these things, look, we got a fair value gap, the 618. Cool. I'm not gonna delete this guy, but let's just be mindful. I'll mark this one, but I'll only make it available in the 1 hour. What is Ment FX? He calls this like the striped pajama club. Listen, I'm wearing striped pajamas, I guess. Take that off the minutes. Cool. That's fine. And this guy, we don't want him on the 4 hour. Cool. We just want him on the hour. So I'll be actually going to set an alert just to let me know. But again, it also has to happen. Like for me, it's going to have to happen during either London or New York. If I wake up for New York session and we've rejected this pretty hard, I'll be looking for like an OTE play where we've broken the level. We're coming back up into a fair value gap or an order block, and I'll look for a sell there. But I would expect this to happen, I don't know, this week probably. I'm not going to put a day on it yet, but I would expect it to happen this week. We're either gonna push up into this level, or we're just gonna die from here. So that's that one. Let's look at SPY real quick, and we're gonna call it. We're just gonna keep it simple. Looking at SPX, we broke to new all-time highs, right? So this is one of the things me and my friends were looking at last year. The hope was we would break all-time highs last year before the new year, but we didn't. So here we are. Let me get rid of some of this old stuff. We'll start fresh on this, y'all. So clearly we've rejected this weekly fair value gap. Right here, we came in, pushed up out of it, and obviously we're pushing higher. So what's the expectation? That we're gonna keep pushing, right? We kind of ranged here a little bit, came up, came down, swept this liquidity right here, right? So we came down into like these equal lows, actually. This guy and this guy basically equal lows right above this fair value gap. So what we did is we came down, look what the candles did, right? Here's a fair value gap, came down, pushed right up. Buyers stepped in. We pushed this right up, created another fair value gap. So here's the magic of fair value gaps, guys. And if you look at my Instagram, you'll know I've got a few videos on them. I'm a big fan of them. But again, this is one of those things. Okay, cool. If you're on the daily, I don't play the daily, but it's good to know, like, All right, well, I'm looking for a buy on the daily. Boom, we pushed up. Cool. We created a fair value gap. And now, what did price do? Came in, tapped this fair value gap, got bought up, and then pushed. So we all should have been looking for buys during this time, just based on that daily chart. Yeah, look at draw on liquidity was higher. Boom, we got it. Had a break even week on SPY for me this week. Was in a couple good trades, and then they just didn't follow through. Well, they stopped me out break even, and then they followed through. Just was one of those weeks, right? I think one of the things I could do is take profit earlier, trim my trades earlier. But really, I'm just trying to hold to because the draw on liquidities are higher. So this is a 4-hour chart. I'm not on the 4-hour chart when I'm trading. I think I actually got rid of all my stuff on here, unfortunately. Anyways, my expectation for SPY is probably more highs. We did sweep that high, and it was a pretty strong close. We'll just have to see what happens this week. SPY, I kind of take day by day on the hourly. Like the big, long term, we were looking for buys. Right? Let me see. Monday. Yeah, I mean Monday we sold off. Tuesday, what is this one? Here's 7. Yeah, you could. This is very trappy price action, to be fair. Like, this is just snaky. Like, there's nothing really all that clear here. Just kind of looking back at this week. Wednesday sold off. So I was looking for buys in here. And I just got into early. I forget exactly where it was. Let's go ahead on that 30-minute. Just again, because we're in that fair value gap, right? We tapped into that fair value gap. We pushed up. And I want to say I took a stop buy. No, it wasn't here. Look at this is 1:30 in the morning. Look at it. Very, very tricky price action going on here. But here's your spring out of there. Here's kind of your order block area. Do we have a 1-hour order block on that? Not really. Again, this is to me it was like obvious that we're pushing up this week, but actually finding that trade, maybe y'all see it clearer than I do. But this is your zone, right? Pushed up. What time is this? Yeah, that's too late. Really hadn't cleared any highs here. Set that 5-minute real quick. Cool. Here's Wednesday. It's kind of your Wednesday reversal, right? Yeah, so I mean, if you're playing lower time frame stuff, boom, we hit that, came back down into this order block right here. And you could have either bought right here. I can't remember which trade I was in. I should have let my stuff up. I actually didn't even journal this trade. I just kind of took it and didn't. Usually I do like a video like journal, but I didn't. You could have taken a stop buy above here, right? If we come back down to this order block, we kind of create this low, and you can either buy right off this order block, or as price kind of pauses right here, you can look for some highs. Like right here's a high. And on the 1 minute, this is probably like a probably looks a little different. Actually, can I get down on the 1 minute? Here, let's put a box on this real quick. And let's see what that looked like on the 1 minute. This is just really just me just looking at like, oh, okay, what trade could have happened here? Bear with me, y'all. Here we go. Cool. Let's delete that. Yeah, I mean, if you were quick, boom, we cleared this high on the 5-minute, right? We pushed up. And here's that little high I was talking about. So what you could have done, here's one option. You could have bought right off that order block, which was right here, straight off, which is something I do a lot, is I'll just buy right off the order block. If you were being more cautious, you could have done another thing, which was here was that little range. It was like 3 candles that kind of had these highs, somewhat equal highs. You could have just set a stop buy above that. That would have been one option. I've been messing with that as well. I think MintFX kind of has a strategy around that I was checking out. Honestly, it's really effective. I think it's really cool. But notice how price pauses here. So you can either just buy, set a stop buy up just above that. It could have been here as well. Notice how price comes up. It pauses just before breaking this high. 2 sideways candles. Boom, stop buy above that. You probably could have put your stop loss below that. Draw on liquidity for me was, I think I deleted those. But draw on liquidity is these higher ones, right? This is your draw on liquidity, which we eventually got to. If you're trading options, you're not going to get to it. If you're trading options, and you were able to get in, I mean, you're looking at these lower highs. You're looking at this guy. This is your most immediate draw on liquidity if you're trading options. Is it like, because you're not going to, unless you're looking to hold these contracts, you know, you're picking up a contract that's a couple weeks out or something like that, right? Then you're probably gonna look to trade these before end of day. Like I trade same day expiration, so yeah, you're looking at to get out probably somewhere around here. When did this would have been a good one too, but where did that, you know, would have been these highs right here, right? So these would have been your draws on liquidity. So if you're able to trim, these would have been like trim spots maybe. Anyways, going into next week, that's it. I just wanted to review. I deleted all my trade stuff, so I'm just kind of looking in to try and find a trade, you know, something that's like a pretty obvious trade for us from this last week. And there's some other ones in here too, actually. This, boom, pushed up, cool. What time was this? 1 in the morning? 5:30. Yeah, here we go. Okay, here's 6:30. Cool. We're clearly we clear this high above the true New York Open at 4:30. Right back into this order block. This is a 30-minute, so if you want to play a slightly higher time frame and, you know, relax a little bit more, this would have been a great trade too to follow that up. And your draw on that would have been, yeah, look at, would have been this high right here. So we're just looking at that. You can also use like fib extensions, or some people like to use just set risk to reward ratios, like 2-to-1s or 3-to-1s. But it's always good to know where the draw on liquidity. And honestly, the higher time frame draw has always been the previous, or the previous all-time high, right? The previous draw, the target was always this guy right here. Everybody's been targeting that. We've just been wanting it, and it finally happened. So coming into this week, what would I like to see on the daily? I actually would love to see price kind of pause. If we can get one sideways candle or something, create that fair value gap, I would love to see us come in, and I'm going to zoom in on probably the hourly. I'm going to look for a rejection somewhere into that fair value gap. If we can reject that fair value gap, Lord willing, in discount, you're not always going to get a fair value gap in discount. Honestly, I've been noticing a lot of 38.2s. If there's a lot of momentum, you're not going to get that 50%. You're going to get like 38.2. But let's just see where this goes. Yeah, like, guys, if we can get a sideways candle on the daily, if we can push into this lower time frame refined fair value gap area in discount right here, I'm looking for a rejection. I'm looking for buys. Looking to take that higher. So that's kind of my plan coming into this week. Yeah, move sideways. Maybe do one of these, you know, push up, sweep this low, right? You're probably gonna know what is a what's his name? Casper SMC say no raid, no trade. You know, come down, give us a good reaction out of this kind of this higher fair value gap. Trap a bunch of bulls, boom, sweep that liquidity. I mean, that would be pretty clean. Anyways, all right, guys, that's it for me. Sorry if there's some on DXY, if we're just not certain yet. I think we need to still figure some things out. We got this fair value gap. We need to see if that's going to be obeyed. Obviously, we're obeying this one, and it does look like a market maker buy model. Plus the fundamental that, listen, inflation is not under control yet. So, anyways, inflation's still high, and we just kind of have to wait and see. Trade cautiously, but for SPY, definitely looking for more upside. But we'll see. Trade cautious, trade safe, my friends. All right. King's Capital out.